What's up, everybody? Welcome to the chaos. My name is Brad. The stock market is crazy and chaotic, and I made it my mission to help you guys own it. It has been kind of a boring day in the stock market, but it has been, the Trump headlines have kind of like hijacked my entire show because I'm like, there's not a whole lot of headlines to go over, but we're going to talk about some other things. Listen, AMC has gone to absolute shit. I think its days are actually numbered for real. I'm going to explain reasons as to why, but the ape's going to have some splaining to do if AMC actually goes bankrupt, because at what point are you going to just finally say, okay, I've had enough? We'll get into that. Also, just briefly talk about the Trump indictment, because a lot of people have asked me if this has anything to do with the stock market or if it will impact the stock market. So I'll give my answer on that in just a few moments as well. Then, of course, we have the weird news, and then we have birthdays, and I kind of wanted to open it up to Q&A. So if you guys want to give me or have some questions about specific stocks that you're looking at, we got about a week and a half before we get back into earnings season, which I cannot wait for. So I figured we could just take this opportunity to kind of do some Q&A stuff. So let me know what you guys think about that. And then let me hit up a starting five. Bodie Beard, Kevin Hawthorne, Savvy Money Show, Mutt Bob, Biker Brian. You guys are our starting five. Thanks so much for coming in early. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, okay. There's so many people that like typed in multiple times, so I just want to make sure I had 5. But if you guys missed the starting 5, it could be because you didn't get here early or hit that notification bell. So make sure you're subscribing, hitting that notification bell so that you get notified when I go live. Get here early, and you just might get shouted out in the next stream. All right, so looking at the overall market, it is red across the board, 0.8%. That is how much the S&P is down right now. The Dow is also down 0.75%. Nasdaq's down 0.8 as well. And then the Russell 2000 is taking the biggest hit. Small cap stocks are down 2.25. Crude oil is just kind of sat flat today. It's down 0.06%. So it's still sitting at $80.37 per barrel. I think that's probably going to continue to go north. Bitcoin is also flat. So really just kind of like a blasé day in the stock market overall. But some of you might be concerned because we did see, a pretty decent drop off in the market. Let's take a look at the chart right now on the S&P 500. You guys can see this right now is obviously having a pretty decent red day on the daily chart. So not exactly a small candle, right? But you can see that it's kind of sort of getting ready to approach the bottom of this zone. So we'll watch to see if the S&P 500 actually holds that area. We may see some continued move down tomorrow, but we'll see. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, though, we're on a 4-day winning streak. And really, over the last, 8 trading days, we've seen one red day and then now you have this one. So I'm 9 trading days. So should you really be concerned? Should you be really worried about the markets just because of one red day? No, but here's the reason why we're seeing some moves down in the market today. One big reason is because of the JOLTS report. So if you guys aren't familiar with the JOLTS report, it is the job openings data. This is actually an important metric that the Fed actually uses to make their decisions on fiscal policy. And this JOLTS report was reporting on the month of February, actually down quite a bit from January's numbers. So we saw 9.9 million jobs open at the end of February. That's down 10.6 million from January and 11.6 million in the same month last year. So we are seeing a bit of slowing in job openings. If you guys recall, I mean, last year and even the year before, there were so many job openings that there just wasn't enough people for them. And so I think that we're seeing this slowing down, and the markets have reacted in a very interesting way. So we saw a bit of a sell-off, and I think now we're starting to see a bit of, I guess, angst, for lack of better terms, from investors, because it's like, okay, we saw, the Fed backing off. We saw inflation coming down, but now jobs are starting to come down. And so their job openings are starting to come down. We're seeing layoffs as well. So then you have investors wondering, is this the potential, moment in which we can confidently say the R word is approaching? And you're probably going to continue to hear that noise over the next who knows how long. But you know, it's really difficult to kind of go off of one day of a JOLTS report that comes down lower than the month before. And yeah, it was 600,000 jobs that are no longer posted. But we could also make the argument that, Anima Dog says this is the time that bad news is not good news anymore. I don't know. Not off of one metric, I don't think. Again, look at this chart. Look at this chart. From March 13th, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and if you include today, 6. Since March 13th, 6 red days. That's it. I don't know. I don't think that one metric point is going to be like, oh, well, that's it. Everybody has to sell everything that they have, and that's show's over, right? I talked to you guys yesterday and brought up several metrics about how, the probability of ending the year green based off of what we've seen so far in the first quarter. Remember, 5% or greater. There was 15 out of 16 times we saw the stock market end in the green, and then a gain of 7% in the markets after the first quarter. 16 out of 16 times dating back to 1954, we saw an average performance from the S&P 500 of 20%. And that's the average. So I'm really hesitant to say, yeah, and look at this. I mean, we're getting ready to go into the close. You can see that we're getting ready to close at the top of this zone on the daily chart. So I'm not ready to say, hey, I think this is one day where, you had jobs reports coming in. And ultimately, this is something that the Fed wanted to see happen, right? The Fed wanted to see, the job market not so tight. They want to see it loosen up a little. And so we're starting to see that. I think the theme could be that the Fed ends up pausing in May if we start to see data that continues to support, the economy kind of loosening up a little bit as far as the labor market's concerned. So I actually think this is probably a good thing. People can freak out if they want to over one day's worth of metrics. I don't think that's something that I'm necessarily going to worry myself with. Stop Console War says I'm always bullish, even in a bear market. Yeah. So also, I saw that somebody was asking about the shirts, which, by the way, I put it out in a. Actually, I put out in a community post on the channel. If you go to the community tab on the channel, the link is there. A lot of people were asking about this shirt. This is a shirt that I haven't sold in years. And I happened to wear it yesterday, and I wore it one other time too, and people really started to dig it. So I was like, all right, well, I mean, if you guys are really wanting to get it, to get after it, who am I to say that you can't go out and buy it? So if you want to support the channel in that way, I certainly would appreciate it. And listen, it would mean the world to me. It's not something that is going to blow my socks off as far as money's concerned, but it just helps support me, right? Like, people are going to walk up and down the street, ask you who this is, and then you get to tell them who I am, and maybe they start watching, right? So if this is the only thing that I have available right now, if anybody wants to help, create a merch line that you think people would actually be interested in, cool. But I don't know. I'll put a copy to the link in the chat here as well if you guys want to check it out. But lots of people were interested in this, so I'll pin it in the chat. Boom, there you go. Checking in on some of the other comments here. What are your thoughts on AMC? Ask Jay Santos. We're going to get into that in just a moment. Savvy Money Show says, what I'm selling only what's profitable and it's up, then the move across ready to reuse. So just keeping it steady. Ready for that. I want that shirt, even only chaos. Great. Yeah, absolutely. So there you go. Stop Console Wars. It's all yours. Go check out my Teespring store. There's a couple of other cool things on there too that I didn't even realize that Teespring actually offered. So like, this is like on a coffee mug now, which is pretty awesome. I feel like I need to get it now too. So I'm going to buy my own shit. But anyways, go check it out. Go check out the store. There's plenty of things that are there that are available that have this design on it. And again, like I said, I certainly would appreciate it. You want to help support your boy, help me out. King Hargrave, go for it, man. Go for it. I think 3 people bought stuff yesterday, which was cool. I mean, I appreciate it. I really do. I had no idea that people would be this excited about it, but like I said, I'm here for it. All right, so let's get into some of the market stuff here. So as you can see, as I'd mentioned, the S&P 500 looking like we are about 3 minutes away from the close, and you can see that the S&P gonna end red today, but I think it's worth noting that it looks like it may actually end up above this zone. This is one of Don's zones, which, by the way, if you want to get access to these custom charts, go check us out over at patreon.com/ownthechaos. Starting at $5, you get access to exclusive content from me, and then it goes from there. You get access to these custom charts, our Discord, and content that you're not going to find on YouTube. You will find over there on patreon.com/ownthechaos. Just another way to help support us. And it's super cheap. It really probably won't even, you probably won't even feel it, but it means the world to us. So help support us in that way. Help support my channel and the ability to keep going. And I would certainly appreciate it. So getting into some of the headlines. So this is something that I think was worth noting. Bank deposits are holding steady. So if you guys haven't seen this, there's an article that came out from Barron's that no one is expecting an easy time for the bank sector. There are signs that deposit outflows are stabilized, coupled with relatively flat trading over the past week, and have some Wall Street investors looking for buying opportunities. If you take a look at a couple of stocks here, one of them that really kind of stuck out to me was Wintrust Financial that the article actually talked about. So it is, the ticker symbol here is WAL. I'm sorry, WTFC. WTFC is the ticker symbol there, WTFC. And you can see, obviously not having a great, couple months. We come out to the weekly chart, and you can see that it has come down quite a bit. But I thought that it was interesting to see that it kind of held its own right here around 69, dollars a share. And it looked like a really decent opportunity. Why? Because of a couple of things. One of them being that the regional banks have just really gone through it. But it doesn't mean that all the regional banks are bad. And WTFC seems to be one of those that has been incorrectly lumped into everything else. Forward PE on this is at 6 times next year's earnings. With bank deposits remaining steady, I think that stocks like Wintrust Financial, you could take a look at a couple of other ones as well. Western Alliance, ticker symbol WAL, and then CFBF. Those are also on the cheap. But I think that this is something that actually looks like a really decent opportunity if you're looking to get back into the banks, or if you've never been in the banks before, maybe this could be a good opportunity given how much this has dropped off. So just keep an eye on this. WTFC looks like a pretty decent opportunity given where it has stopped. It kind of held its support there. Lots of people asking about AMC. All right, fine. Let's just get into it. I don't know why. Why are we still worried about AMC, people? And why do you come to this channel to ask me about AMC? Because you know what I'm going to say, right? Like, if you're looking for somebody to tell you, yeah, keep buying it, you have arrived at the wrong channel. Because for as long as AMC has been a meme stock, I have expressed concern over people's money getting into this. And to be clear, okay, in the beginning, I was like, hey, just be cautious. If you made money, then great. take whatever you made off the table and maybe leave something for the just in case, especially if you've doubled your money here. Like, just make sure you're playing with house money. And I got raked over the coals. So then after that point, I did some real due diligence on AMC and then just said, you know what, screw it. I am going in hard. And this is the reality with AMC. If you continue to hold on to it, you will lose all of your money. And so I've been on that train for almost 2 years. This is something that is not going to continue to bode well. It's not going to go well for AMC holders, in my opinion. If you guys haven't caught this, today it's down 23%, 23.5%. The preferred shares, the APE shares, climbed around 10% as the movie theater operator said it reached a settlement with shareholders over its planned stock conversion. The settlement paves the way for the company ticker AMC to complete its plan to convert its AMC preferred equity or APE units into shares of common stock. This is what I talked about 2 weeks ago when they came out with their earnings and talked about this. This is legitimate. Like, Adam Aron is screwing you guys over, period. Full stop, end of story. And if anybody thinks otherwise, then your head is up your ass. Like, just open your eyes and Google what conversion of stock looks like. Google what dilution is. Like, just do yourself a favor. This is what's happening. Shares are being dumped into AMC, and you're actually seeing the share structure shrink on APE somewhat because those preferred shares are being dumped into AMC. It's not going to bode well for either of these because AMC is going to effectively more than likely go bankrupt. We just heard about the Regal parent company really tanked yesterday because they failed to find an actual buyer because nobody wants anything to do with the movie theater chains, period. Just like, I don't know what else you want from me. I love you guys. I really do. But for those of you who just continue to hang on to AMC and think that there's just some sort of glimmer of hope that the stock's going to go back up, I got news for you. It ain't. It isn't. Like, if you're trying to find somebody to tell you that AMC is worth holding on to, knock yourself out. But if you really want somebody to tell you what you need to hear versus what you want to hear, then you can stay on this channel. If that's not you, then go find another crazy ass AMC person that's just going to tell you everything that you want to hear, whether it's true or not. Okay? Like, that's it in a nutshell. AMC is going to continue to go down because they have to convert shares. They have to sell shares into their stock in order to keep business going, in order to keep raising capital to pay off the enormous amount of debt that they have, because they're not making enough money in revenue to support paying off debt. That's how this works. That's how most stocks work. The difference is, right? Like, if you look at Tesla, for example, and the reason that companies go public is to raise capital. Full stop, right? That's the whole reason why you go public, is to raise capital from the public, from people who believe in what it is that you do. There are companies that raise capital the right way, and then there are companies that raise capital the wrong way and mismanage that money and get themselves into holes such as an AMC is in right now. Tesla raised money, and then they sold shares into the market. It briefly would tank the stock, not very long, because Elon Musk and those who are running Tesla properly allocated that cash that they raised in the market to then reinvest into the company to make it more valuable. That's what they did. In the situation with AMC, they are raising capital to pay off debt that they should have never taken out in the first place, and it's not adding value to the company whatsoever. They're not reinvesting into movie theaters or marketing to bring people in. They have to take care of the property that they own or that they're leasing and the amount of debt that they've had to take out. Now, whether you can blame that on COVID or whatever, that's neither here nor there. But I mean, movie theaters were dying before COVID hit. COVID just kind of really exacerbated that and really kind of like pushed things along, sped things up. So at the end of the day, AMC is not worth hanging on to. And this is just another catalyst to the bottom. You know, that's it. If that's not what you wanted to hear, I'm sorry. Sometimes the truth hurts. My clothes. Are you talking? Danny Alvarado says, "Are you talking about AMC, my man?" Help me clarify this. It says my clothes was extremely dumb. I had 210,000 at the top. If we're talking about AMC, that's crazy. And held, and back down to around 20K. That's crazy, man. Is that my close friend? I'm trying to decipher that, Danny. Help me out there. Has AMC been profitable yet, says Top Console Wars? The answer is no, they have not. Since the NFT stuff, I was like, wow, really? Yeah. The NFT and the popcorn and like the acquisition of some gold company, like they just did dumb shit that just kept the sheeple coming back and just believing everything that Adam Aron said. He's a terrible CEO. What about all the big movies coming out this year? Do you think that will help them on earnings? Maybe a little bit, Jay, but I mean, honestly, like, what are you going to the movies to see, right? Like, Top Gun can only come out every 30 years, right? Like, what are we going to the movies to see exactly? And how are they going to market it in a way that's going to make people want to go? Because here's the thing. We've now reached a point in our lives where we can afford to have a really nice TV, a really nice sound system, and in a room all by itself if we wanted to, right? The home theater is a real thing. And the home theater only became even more popular during COVID. People were buying TVs and sound systems left and right. And so now you're like, hey, I actually have my own movie theater, and is it worth me waiting an extra 6 weeks for this movie to come out so that I can just stream it and I can buy my own popcorn for pennies on the dollar instead of spending $25 for a bag of popcorn and a soda? Plus, you know, the $15 for the actual movie ticket. Like, what is motivating people to go to the movies right now? Like, why is it so impressive, or what's so exciting about going to the movies? And right now, I don't think anybody can give me a legitimate answer. Until somebody solves that, then it doesn't matter how good the movies are. It doesn't matter how good the films are that go into the movies. It's just not going to bring people back. It just isn't. It costs too much, and it's not interesting enough to like get out of the house and actually go to a movie. You know, back in the day, you had these big ass giant movie theaters with big, huge screens and amazing sound systems. And then you had people that just had tube TVs, right? It's way different now. And the industry just hasn't figured out a way to pivot. Hollywood assisted their own demise, says Bodie Beard. I don't think so. It doesn't matter. Like, you know how to tell a good story. People are going to watch it, right? But Danny says, my friend, hard to do. Oh, I appreciate you, Danny Alvarado. Thanks for the clarification. Clavier Componist. I like that name. Amen to your comments. What people need now is to invest in a smart way, proper risk taking. I appreciate the honest talk on both you and Don provide. Thanks, man. Appreciate the kind words there. Alex says, the last 7 years, I never went to watch a movie. I think I could count on 3 fingers the amount of times I've seen I went to the movies in the last 7 years. Yeah, I don't think I've seen 5 movies at a movie theater in the last, maybe even 10, right? Jen Rosemont said, I go more often if it were a little cheaper. Yeah, but they're stuck. They can't bring the price down because of their margins. That's the unfortunate part. Marin says the experience for 3D and 4D movies that I go for, yeah, but majority don't care. Yeah, like it's just not enough to bring it back. I agree with that. Last movie for me was the last Avengers movie. Did I see the last Avengers movie in the theaters? I might have. I can't really remember. But I mean, listen, that's it. That is what it is, you know? It sucks, but that's just the reality with AMC and really anything movie theater related. Anyways, we'll move on to the next thing, which will be the weird news of the day. So the weird news of the day is coming up, but before we get into the weird news, I wanted to shout out today's sponsor, which is AAA Debt Solutions. If you guys haven't checked them out, the link is in the description. If you are suffering from credit card debt and you don't know how to get out of it, and you're struggling, trying to figure out how to make all those monthly payments from all those credit cards that you might have racked up, don't worry. The guys over at AAA Debt Solutions have your back. As Federal Reserve raises interest rates again, credit card debt is already at a record high, and more people are carrying debt month to month. The Fed's interest rate increases are meant to fight inflation, but they've also led to higher annual percentage rates, or APRs, for people with credit card debt, which means they pay more in interest. So if you have a high debt, credit card debt, then you're going to pay even more in interest on that as well. If you're struggling to keep up with that, AAA Debt Solutions is here to help. The debt consolidation services may make it easy to manage your debts with one simple monthly payment. Their team of passionate professionals understands the challenges that come with managing finances in today's world, and they are committed to finding innovative solutions that work for you. With their help, you can achieve financial freedom and peace of mind, and they offer personalized debt consolidation plans that are tailored to your unique needs, so you can be sure you're getting the best possible solution for your situation. Plus, the team is always there to provide top-notch customer service and support. Don't let debt hold you back any longer. Take control of your finances with AAA Debt Solutions. Contact them today to learn more about their debt consolidation services and how they can help you achieve your financial goals, as well as support the channel by clicking the link down below. So if you're finding yourself in some debt trouble with credit cards in particular, go check out AAA Debt Solutions down in the link below, and shout out to them for supporting the channel. Checking out some of the comments. I went to see John Wick at AMC, and it was packed, and I'm assuming Mario movie and Fast will be packed too. Is Fast 10 really something that people get into? John Wick, I can appreciate. Thanks for bringing that to the table, Jay Santos. But again, that's just like one movie, right? Like, people would pack movies all the time. When I was younger anyway. So I don't know. Okay, moving on. I wanted to get into, we can briefly talk about the Trump indictment. So if you guys haven't seen this, and let's go ahead and just pull up the charts as we now have officially closed. I wanted to kind of address this. Some of you guys made mention that you thought perhaps this Trump indictment may have brought the markets down. We take a look at the S&P 500, and you can see that it actually closed above this zone here. And so I think this is certainly interesting spot to watch for any kind of movement in the S&P 500. But if you guys didn't catch the news, and we'll get into weird news right after this, Trump was indicted today on 34 counts of fraud. They were all felonies, and a lot of it was related to the Stormy Daniels payoff, and a lot of the fraud that was brought into that. And I mean, there was 34 counts. I'm not going through all 34 counts. And honestly, I really don't want to go too much into this. But is the stock market reacting to this? No, absolutely not. In my opinion, I think that the market reacted to the JOLTS numbers more than anything else. And as I'd mentioned earlier, we've seen some crazy moves to the upside in the market. It was due for some sort of pullback. Investors needed a reason to sell off. And I think that the JOLTS numbers certainly gave them that reason to do so. The market's taking a breather. I don't think there's any reason to not remain bullish so far at this point. All bull, no bear, baby. Links in the chat. Right? So I don't think that there's anything to necessarily worry about with this whole Trump BS. And in the stock market. Doesn't matter what side of the aisle you sit on. This is what I'm saying. I don't think that there's anything that's going to have to do with this. I would start to make comments about how this could affect the stock market if by some chance, and it's a slim chance, if by some chance Trump actually makes it somewhere in the RNC when it comes to an actual nomination for president for re-election. And whether or not you want that to happen is neither here nor there. But we've seen how the markets reacted when Trump was in office, and some of the tweets that he would make when he was in office as it relates to the economy and fiscal policy. There was a different time. I think that we'll see minimal reaction if by some chance we see Trump make some sort of headway into the Republican Party as far as becoming a nominee for president for a re-election. I'm here to tell you that I think that is a very, very slim likelihood at this point that actually ends up happening. I just don't see that taking place. However, this event today certainly gives a lot of ammunition for people who are in support of Trump to go out there and vote. I'm not saying that it's actually going to happen. I think it's still very unlikely that it does. But I'll just be fully transparent. This is coming from a registered Republican. I don't think it's going to happen. So anyways, that's just my thoughts. It's a real short answer. I don't think that actually it's a long answer, but I don't think the S&P 500, the markets in general are going to react or really give a shit about whatever's going on with Trump. Don tuning in. What's up, my man? Hopefully a couple red days for a solid dip buy, says Don. Yeah, let's take a look at Don's charts, by the way. Again, as I had mentioned earlier in the show, go to check out patreon.com/ownthechaos. You get access to these custom charts that Don has so generously made for our Chaos crew and himself. I mean, let's be real. That's how it always starts, right? You make it for yourself and then you share it for people to use. So go to patreon.com/ownthechaos. We'd love to have you guys support us in that way. But here's your charts. And I don't know when you started tuning in, Don, but I actually just mentioned, I was like, listen, we've seen a ridiculous amount of green days over the last 2 weeks. And I believe it was the last 13 trading, or no, since March 13th, we've seen, 4 red days. So it needs to pull back. I hope it does pull back as well. I don't want to see these straight line moves, but we shall see. We shall see. We'll get into some of the other specific stocks. Also, by the way, in the chat, give me some stocks that you would like me to take a look at. I saw a couple of people asking about C3AI. We can take a look at that. Short interest on C3AI is absolutely ridiculous. So I did want to mention that just very briefly. ConAgra also apparently has, did they have earnings today? Somebody's asking about ConAgra. We can look at that if you really want to. A couple other stocks, if you guys want, put it in the chat and I'll be happy to go through those. But let's go on to the weird news of the day, because it's real weird. And if you got children in the house, just fair warning. Okay. It's inappropriate. Okay. It's inappropriate. It's not really family friendly weird news. So just full disclosure, giving you time right now to turn the volume down. But if you don't give a shit and you want to listen to the weird news, keep the volume turned up. Okay. I came across sorry about that. I came across some weird news today that I was kind of floored by. First of all, I knew that this condition existed. But there is a woman who has figured out how to make money off of her condition. And it is that she has 2 vaginas. I'll let you process that for a moment. But there is a woman by the name of Evelyn Miller. She's 31 years old, was first diagnosed with uterus didelphus. I think that's how you say it. Is it didelphus? Somebody tell me I fucked that up if I didn't. If I did. And she was diagnosed with this in 2011 after a gynecologist noticed a physical irregularity during an examination at the Women and Children's Hospital in Adelaide, Australia. She's Australian. So this is something that I knew existed. I knew it was out there. It affects 1 in every 2,000 women. And the crazy part about this, hold on a second. Let me just show you. Here, guys can take a look at Evelyn here. There she is. This is the story. I'll show you a few other pictures if you want, but none of them are inappropriate. None of these pictures are inappropriate. I'm not trying to get kicked off of YouTube, okay? But here's what happened. As you probably can imagine, she, of course, had a lot of anxiety related to her condition, and intimacy was I'm sure super challenging. But she decided one day to actually create her OnlyFans account with her 2 vaginas. And according to the New York Post, she uses one for her husband and the other one for her career. This is a real thing. I'm not kidding. Look it up. Google it, okay? It's on the New York Post. She claims that she didn't publicly share that she had uterus didelphys. I'm never going to get that right. Until she started her OnlyFans account in 2018 with the support of her spouse. She says, quote, OnlyFans has helped me finally embrace my condition. Creating content and having people complexly fascinated by my condition is really great. Here's the thing, though, okay? She's not making OnlyFans money that I would consider would be OnlyFans money, right? Like, so according to the New York Post, she's making $1,500 a week, which, by the way, isn't bad money, okay? But she's got 2 vaginas. You'd think you should be making double that, at least one for each, right? Listen, I know this is what the weird news does. It breaks it up. It wakes you up and make you wonder what the hell is going on here. But I had to share the weird news of the day. This is your weird news. But $1,500, that's $6,000 a month. That's not even a six-figure income for OnlyFans. Like, that's not really all that great. I didn't think so. I don't know. Am I crazy? That's not really good OnlyFans money. You guys saw that I interviewed Allie Ray on this channel, who made $200K a month. I think that was on the light side. She crushing it, but she don't got 2 vaginas. John Cochran says, what's her name? Asking for a friend. I love Australia more now since Stop Console Wars. Don Fran says, what nuclear plant does she live next to? Oh, these are hilarious. Stop Console Wars says she's a legend. Did she say she did save one for marriage? Yeah. So she was half. Yeah, $1,500. That is light, right? Like, you're not making 6 figures off your double vagina condition. I don't know, man. I would just assume that you would have made more money than that. She's probably gonna be making a whole lot now that she got exposure to the New York Post and God knows whoever else. But yeah, I thought 1,500 was kind of light. Anyways, I feel like I gotta reach out to Allie and ask her about that, because it just seems kind of crazy to me. She probably makes more than the average of creators, says Marin. That's probably true. I don't know what the average OnlyFans creator actually makes. Probably more than this guy on YouTube. Oh, shit. All right. So let's get into some of the stocks that you guys were talking about. We'll get back on track. This is why I love the weird news, though, because like it gets everybody talking, and there's a few people that are like, I don't want anything to do with this, which, hey, listen, I respect, and I give you fair warning on this time. I said, if you don't want to hear inappropriate content, then turn it down. So this isn't on me. It's on you if you didn't want to hear it. Article says she's on Pornhub, too. I did not look that far into it, but doesn't surprise me. Snookeroo asks about ConAgra. Let's take a look at that. I got to tell you, if you guys haven't been following the channel very long, uh, when I first talked about ConAgra, I almost got kicked off of YouTube for mispronouncing ConAgra. You figure it out, use your imagination, but wasn't a good day for Own the Chaos. Was a little bit of a phonics slip, for lack of a better term. ConAgra Brands, looking at looking at the chart. I mean, over the last 4 weeks, it hasn't actually been all that bad. But you know, I believe they have earnings. I know they had earnings this week. Let me see when they have earnings. Pause. Was it today? Hold on. Usually TradingView, at least on the bigger stocks, has told me about. Is today earnings? Oh, here we go. This is cool. Let me find those earnings numbers. Hold on. Yeah, those earnings I think come out tomorrow. Scheduled to announce Q3 earnings April 5th. So, yeah, pre-market. So, estimated earnings per share is 64 cents, which would be an increase on profit of 10% year over year, and the consensus revenue estimate is $3.08 billion, which would be a 5, almost 6% revenue increase year over year. Over the last 2 years, ConAgra has beaten earnings estimates 88% of the time and has beaten revenue estimates 88% of the time. But as we know, earnings beats don't always mean that the stock goes up. We're going to have to see guidance here. Over the last 3 months, earnings estimates have seen 12 upward revisions and 1 downward. Revenue estimates have seen 6 upward revisions and 2 downward, and that's according to Seeking Alpha. So, estimate is 64 cents, $3.08 billion a share. The thing with ConAgra Brands, if you guys aren't familiar what ConAgra actually does, they operate as a consumer packaged goods food company, mainly in North America. The company operates in 4 segments: grocery and snacks, refrigerated and frozen, international, and food service. The grocery and snack segment primarily offers shelf-stable foods products through various retail channels in the United States. Now, with inflation continuing to move, this has boded well in the beginning for food brands because they have pricing power. People need to eat, so they can essentially name their price without pricing themselves out of the market, of course. But in this situation, I think that ConAgra Brands is also fighting with inflation on the operations side. So this is going to be interesting to see how the stock shakes out. I'm not saying that ConAgra Brands isn't going to be a buy, but I think it's risky here, trying to play with earnings. Just wait till after earnings shake out and see where this goes, because I think this is still very much a question mark. However, from a valuation standpoint, it's relatively on the cheap side. Over the last year, 52 weeks, it's up 10%. Year to date, it's actually down 3%. Looking at the forward PE, it's at 14 times next year's earnings. So it's relatively on the cheaper side. I think that this is definitely something that's worth grabbing, but I probably would wait till after earnings came out to see when a reasonable price would be. Even if you miss out a little bit on a run up, based if they end up having like decent guidance or whatever, which typically moves the stocks after earnings, I think that that's going to be something that would be would likely continue. If you miss out on the first day, big whoop. If they have great guidance for the year, it's probably going to continue to move up. So just keep an eye on that. I would watch this area potentially around $36 if they have poor performance or poor guidance. And then the next stop for them and to the upside would be around 39. So keep an eye on those 2 areas for ConAgra Brands. Don says the average creator makes a couple hundred a month. Yep. Lightning Bolt is earnings is an E, says Don. What? I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about there. I'm lost. That is Stop Console Wars. We're still talking about the woman with 2 vaginas. That is the news of the month. I think that woman should call her condition ConAgra. I have one more question about this too that I feel like I would like to ask. Like, is she really serious about, like, one's for my husband and the other one's for, business, quote unquote? Because, like, is it like the left one or the right one? and, how, and how does he know? I don't know. One for my husband and one for my career is what she's quoted as saying. Whatever you say. Whatever you say. All right. Somebody was asking about, C3AI. Let's take a look at that. So C3AI was definitely one that caught my attention today. It was down quite a bit. This was a stock that had been on absolute, I don't know what you want to call it, but it's been insane. It's been an insane month for C3AI and really AI companies in general. But remember, C3AI still doesn't make money, and that's been a huge issue for them. Here's your weekly chart. Let's move it to the daily. Here's your daily chart. Obviously, not a great day for C3AI. Here's your, this is today's candle right here. Huge drop in this. It's down 26 1/3. So what happened to it? Well, let's take a look and see what is going on here. It's just C3AI. C3AI, by the way, also is very heavily shorted. I'll go into those short interest numbers in just a moment. But there was a short seller that came out and said that there's some issues with their auditing. So it's not really like a well-known shorting firm anyway. I actually have never heard of them. And let me know if you have, or maybe Don from the Don Fran Show has heard of Carisdale Capital. They released a short report on the company last month, wrote a letter to the company's auditor outlining its concerns. Carisdale, run by Sam Andrangi, sent a letter to Deloitte and Touche highlighting its concerns with alleged accounting issues with C3AI. The Carisdale letter appears to be highly creative and transparent attempt by a self-acclaimed short seller to short the stock, publish an inflammatory letter to move the stock price down, and then cover the short and pocket the profits. And that's according to a C3AI spokesperson who told that to Seeking Alpha in an email. I think that there's certainly some opportunity here. And this is something that Don has already laid out as far as some zones are concerned. Again, if you want to get access to Don's charts and his zones, go to patreon.com/ownthechaos. Help support us in that way. But this is a zone that actually kind of bounced right up out at the bottom of the zone today after this huge move down. I think this actually could be a short squeeze opportunity. We take a look at short interest on this and some of the hit pieces that are taking place on C3AI. Short interest is at nearly 28%. So that's pretty high, and it could be a short squeeze opportunity. Even with this crazy move in the stock, so year to date, it's up 125%, and that's after this move down here, by the way. Over the last year, it's only up 3%. Looking at the valuation, it's actually not bad with a market cap at $3.8 billion. You look at the growth here, and it is revenue growth forward is at 20%. Profitability isn't quite there yet, but their gross profit margins are at 70%. And we can only imagine that C3AI is going to grow even faster from here, just given the hype that's surrounded around this. I hesitate to just say go all in on something that's moved up 125, 135% since the beginning of the year because of just how much that is. But when you look at the move in AI in general, I mean, just look at NVIDIA, right? Like NVIDIA has gone absolutely insane in the name of AI. We take a look at the NVIDIA chart. So C3AI, it's a small company. It's going to be risky because they still don't, they're still not profitable. Even though I gave you those gross profit margins, net profit is not there. So they're going to need to continue to do better at that. But NVIDIA, this is your daily chart NVIDIA. And this is all surrounded around the AI hype. AMD is also in this conversation, by the way. So I don't And the crazy part is with NVIDIA, while I do think it needs to cool off and it is overvalued without question, who's to say that it can't keep going? And I think that there's a real possibility it can. So if I was a short seller on something like C3 AI, I wouldn't be short for long because I wouldn't want to lose my ass on some sort of squeeze that could potentially take place. So the stock's down, 25% almost today. I think there's certainly opportunity for a long position on that if the right amount of hype comes back into something like C3 AI, because shorts are going to have to cover pretty darn quick. Don says you bought some C3 AI today? Okay, so Don went long on C3 AI. Stop Console Wars says that's what I was thinking. Even if C3 AI moves, it's going to affect SoundHound too. Yeah, they move together. So that is your stream for today, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in and hanging out with me this afternoon. We're gonna get into some more stuff as we get closer to earnings. I haven't heard from the new channel sponsor, which I'm going to reach out to them this evening as well, see what's going on with that. We were supposed to kick some things off with the live trading in the morning this week. So hopefully that's still in play. Sometimes these things just go all over the place. So we'll get onto that later on this week. So once I have that all set up, the morning streams will start again, but it will be live trading in the morning with my new sponsor there. And then the afternoon streams will remain very much like this as far as structure is concerned, just talking about headlines and whatever, kind of just hanging out. I feel like this is like a good stream in the afternoon to do that. And of course, we'll have earnings reactions once earnings season kicks off again. And I really, truly believe that this is going to be something that actually does well from a structure standpoint and brings in the eyeballs that it needs to. You guys that participated in the poll earlier in the week when it came to live trading were all about it. So that's what we're going to do. Also, before I let you guys go, make sure you go check out the new shirts, the new merch. Links in the chat. I don't know why it's not working on my YouTube store right now, but I'll get that figured out. But go support me in that way as well. Would love to have you guys go buy something with this logo, this design on it. A couple of things over there that actually look pretty cool. So get one for the Bears too, says Stop Console Wars. It's only fair. Hell no. That wouldn't be me. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. I'll see you all tomorrow. And have a great rest of your night. Take care.